Hey everyone, Jason here, digital marketing consultant, and in this Google Ads tutorial, we're going to go through 5 common Google Ads mistakes you need to avoid or possibly fix in order to get the most out of your campaigns and ad spend. So timestamp table of contents in the description, along with some other helpful videos that actually go click by click, setting up your Google Ads campaigns the right way. Now the first mistake we need to talk about is mixing different campaign types. When it comes to Google Ads, you actually have a lot of different campaign types that you can set up. You have search, you have display, you have YouTube, and then you also have shopping and universal apps, or just app downloads. Now, when it comes to app downloads, shopping, and YouTube, Google does a really good job of telling you, hey, these are separate campaigns and you shouldn't have them together. But when it comes to search and display, for some strange reason, they still let you have search and display in the same campaign. And you definitely don't want to do that. You see, with a search campaign, you're trying to target people who are typing things into Google search. With a display campaign, your ads are going to be showing up just across the web, and they're going to do their best to try and show your ads on relevant content or relevant sites. But people who are just browsing those sites are a different type of person than someone who's actively typing something in and searching, and so you need to make sure that you split those two campaigns, because if you're doing search and keywords and then you include display, well, you're going to get a lot of random clicks and websites as opposed to doing specifically display and specifically search. So having the wrong campaign types is something you definitely don't want to fall into, because it's going to be almost impossible to optimize your campaigns. Now, speaking of keywords, that is the next one. Big mistake number 2 is using the wrong keywords or the wrong keyword match types. So there's a lot we could talk about here, but let's go ahead and focus on 80-20 here. When you're running your campaigns, irrespective of what type of ad group structure you're using, you want to use something called the search terms report. The search terms report is a place inside of your campaign and ad group settings where you're actually going to be able to see the exact keywords that you're showing up for. And so this should be your compass for whether or not your keywords are great or they stink. And so what you can do is, with the search term report, you can go through it and you can see the search terms that you're showing up for, and you can either number one say, oh, that's a great keyword, I should add it to an ad group, or I should make a new ad group for it. Or number 2, you're gonna look at it and go, ooh, that has nothing to do with my business, product, or service. And this is where you're going to need to use negative keywords. And that's something else that is really overlooked, especially when you're first setting up your campaigns. You can actually just go to Google and type in negative keywords list, and you'll be able to find several sites that will just give you a bunch of keywords that represent phrases that you actually don't ever want to show up for, irrespective of what type of businesses you have. But in addition to making sure that you're using the search terms report and you're actually adding negative keywords, you also want to make sure that you're paying attention to your different keyword match types. And the default match type is broad, and this is typically what you're going to start with for the first week or 2 of running advertising, and then you'll want to move into one of these other 3, which is a big mistake with your keywords, making sure that you start looking for phrase and exact, because broad just looks at anything that you could possibly be relevant for, and then broad match modifier kind of brings it in, and then phrase match brings it in, and then exact match brings it way in, because someone has to type in exactly what you're telling Google that you want to show up for. And phrase match just means a very close variation, whereas modified broad and broad it can be a lot of different things. And you'll find that if you're getting a lot of irrelevant keywords or irrelevant searches and clicks because of those broad match modifier and broad, then you can just go ahead and pause those keywords and only use phrase and exact, which is really what you want to get down to in the end. Now, the third big mistake we see is with advertising. Of course, we're advertising with the ads in your advertising campaigns. And that is not having multiple ads. So something that you really want to make sure you do with your ad groups is at least have 2 to 3 different ads and have them very different. So here you want to make sure that they're very different headlines, so you have a broad spectrum of what may or may not be working, and this gives Google enough ads to play with in order to figure out which ad's working and which ad isn't. So if you have 3 or 4 ads, but they all just have a slightly different headline, well, that's not going to tell you as much as if you had 4 ads and one headline's over here, one headline's over here, and then you have, kind of 2 in the center. Then all of a sudden, if you find out this one's working and these two aren't, well, then you know, oh, I should make more headlines like this, versus just trying to make two headlines that are very similar. You're going to start micro adjusting when you could have just started out here and out here with very different headlines, and then quickly figuring out I should make headlines like this and not headlines like this. And then also a big mistake with your ads could be not using site extensions. This could be a video in and of itself, but when you're setting up your ads, you also have the ability to add some bonus things like site links, callouts, location extensions. If you're trying to get app downloads, there's even an app download one for promotions. And essentially what these do is they add extra space to your ad. So instead of just being your headline and your link and then your short description, all of a sudden you'll have more real estate that Google can optimize and work with. So you can drive traffic directly to other pages on your site, or you can call out specific things that make your business unique. And if you want to learn more about how to set up your ads the right way and how to use site links, link in the description to a full-blown tutorial on how to use Google Ads. Now, the fourth big mistake comes to tracking, right? Because at the end of the day, you're driving Google Ads to your website because you want people to take a certain action. But Google can't optimize for that action if you aren't tracking what actually happens on your site. So number one, you want to make sure that you've connected Google Analytics to your Google Ads account. And if you're just getting started with Google Ads, something that you may be able to do is actually start using that Google Analytics data to set up your Google Ads campaign, so you're not just starting completely from square one. The other thing you want to make sure you do is use something called Google Tag Manager to add conversion tracking to your website. Essentially, conversion tracking is going to be a feedback loop to your Google Ads saying, hey, this person bought, this person didn't buy, or this person was on this page for this amount of time. And it just makes sure that all of the actions that are taking place on your site or landing page are sent back over to Google Ads. So when you're analyzing or using an automated bidding strategy, which is what I recommend after a couple of weeks of testing, then all of a sudden Google has all the information it needs to optimize your campaign. So link in the description to a full-blown Google Tag Manager course that walks you through all you need to know for setting it up, and it's very, very almost code-free. There's a little bit of code, but you don't have to know how to code in order to set that up. Now, the big mistake number 5 actually doesn't have to do with what's going on inside of your Google Ads account. It has to do with what's going on your website once you've sent people to it. More specifically, the page that you're sending people to. So number 1, you want to have something called a landing page. If you're not quite sure what a landing page is or how to set one up, link in the description to a video that walks you through setting up and creating landing pages. But essentially all the landing page is a single page on your site where they can only take one action, the action you want them to take. So if you're doing any sort of e-commerce, then you're sending people directly to the product page that is relevant to your ad. If you're trying to generate leads for your business, then you're creating a special page where you're trying to collect their contact information so that you can follow up with them. You don't want to just send people to your homepage. And if you have multiple products or multiple services, then yes, you need multiple landing pages. You don't want all your campaigns or ad groups to just go to one landing page, because that wouldn't make any sense. You want to make sure that your ad groups and your campaigns are targeted to the landing page, so there's congruency across it. So you'll have one campaign or one set of ad groups that goes to landing page 1, and then you have one campaign or one set of ad groups that goes to goes to ad group number 2. Again, link in the description to how to set all this up and the nuances between it. But all that to say, you want to make sure that you're driving your Google traffic to a relevant page, not just your homepage or some random page, contact form on your site. And also make sure you use the Google Page Insights tool to ensure that your page is loading and you don't have any load issues, because there's nothing worse than paying for a bunch of traffic, driving to a page that takes 3 or 4 seconds to load, especially if you're getting a lot of mobile clicks. Nobody's going to wait around for that. They're going to bounce right out, and then you will have paid for a click for someone who never actually saw your page load. So that does it for the 5 most common mistakes. Hopefully you're not making any of them, but if you are, you can go ahead and quickly fix them to start optimizing your return on ad spend. So again, links in the description to a full-blown Google Tag Manager course, what a landing page is and how to set it up and write the sales copy, and also a full-blown Google Ads click-by-click tutorial on how to set set up your campaigns the right way. And that video will also take you through how to create your site links. So go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe for more advertising tactics and strategies, just like the ones covered in this video. And until the next, keep building the business you love.